What if you just added a zero to your life? Now you might say, Carrie, what are you talking about? I'll tell you what, I'm talking to this amazing author on launch day, Chad Jenkins. How you doing?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. You look so good. And um, I'll tell you what, man, just add a zero. I'll never forget. We were sitting together and you kind of just said that. And I stopped and the room stopped and we're like, ooh, what is that?
hmm
So tell us, what is just add a zero?
Yeah, so just out of zero is for any entrepreneur, and it's a methodology that causes unconventional thinking that results in unconventional results. So a long, long
Mm,
time ago, I was on a farm, figured out what my father made annually, and I did the reverse math back down to the second. And I said, in no way can I ever create value that somebody's going to pay me that amount. But before I actually decided to do something about it, I added a zero to it. So it's a methodology I've used in both. In the logical thing, of course, is to add it to the end of a number, which would, of course, make you react to that number differently. But I would strongly encourage it works both ways. So if the math folks that are out there, put the zero in front. An
ooh.
example, you may along your entrepreneurial journey figure out you may have one or two additional salespeople than you need today. When you add a zero to the front or to the rear, it makes you ask questions like, what if we didn't have salespeople? What would we have to
Ooh.
do? And how would we create this particular business outcomes that we're looking for? And we just don't have internal sales, which will cause you to start down a road of collaboration, which is one of the key successes to exponential growth.
I know when we were first talking about this book, we kind of threw around the title "Connecting the Dots" because you are amazing at that. In fact, out of anyone on the planet, uh, you are creating the most collaborations that I know about. And we met through Strategic Coach, and Strategic Coach recognizes that about you too. But how does just add a zero and collaborations almost fit?
Almost required, actually.
Yeah.
So I have one thing that I'm also guided by, and it's a Squire said it to Theodore Roosevelt, if I track it back correctly: do what you can with what you have where you are. So applying the just at a zero to things that you're either trying to accomplish, which are objectives, or obstacles that you are facing. Oftentimes, our nature is to say, well, I can win, or I would if, and I find that not to be the right way to approach it. You may consider adding a zero to it and then do what you can with what you have where you are, which it requires you to take a little harder look at all of the resources you have at your fingertips.
Hmm.
And I would encourage you to look at the natural expression of those, not the conventional usage of them. But
Hmm.
by looking at them a little bit differently and understanding what they're naturally able to do and create, and combining them or collaborate with other resources that you have at your fingertips, and sometimes those are relationships, you are able to yield the outcome of just at a zero.
So good. I want to take people right to Amazon. First of all, I love the cover. Um, this is really film, and we're going to get into that film here in a moment because that's pretty hot. But just add a zero, the proven formula to remove your competition, name your price, and go global. Let's
Mhm.
talk about, or let's talk about that for a moment. Removing the film. Would talk to
Mhm.
me about that.
So, a little bit around just at a zero causes you to think about the resources that you have at your fingertips. When you consider the things that you've purchased in the past, and you've had to remove that film to
Mm.
see how they actually appear, to get to the true essence of what it is, whether it be a new phone or a new car, and you've got to remove the film off the GPS, the navigation screen. It
Yeah.
looks a lot better, and it actually comes to life when you do that. I personally feel in today's conventional business, there's a lot of film to be removed. That the actual value, the thing that can create immense value for those that you're already serving, or even a completely new audience, is already existing inside of your business. So leveraging the just at a zero thinking and the methodology of remove the film, it
Mm.
requires you to take a look at the resources that you've already put together, all your hard work, that comes together to create today a conventional outcome that when they looked at it through these particular lens, you begin to see something and create a lot of different outcomes and much more unconventional return for your time and investment.
I know
So it's,
exactly what you're saying. Let's say I have my phone here, I do, and that film or any product, a water bottle, anything, we don't even realize there's film there. And it almost takes an outside person to be like, dude, what's up with your phone? Like, I can't even see it.
yeah,
So, how do you spot film? Like, you're a genius at this. I mean, when you go around in life, how do you kind of see that there's film there?
pursue why, period.
Ooh.
Constantly and rinse and repeat. Why does this exist? Why do they take this route of travel whenever you enter a restaurant? Why does it take so long for them to get back around? There's a reason. Why do they respond in this way in the meeting? It's the constant natural curiosity that drives you to look at things in a little different light. And then naturally, you begin to see how two unseemingly adjacent or abstract elements can fit together to create something of real value. Now, and our good friend Dan Sullivan at
Oh, yeah.
Strategic Coach teaches shortcuts, shortcuts, programs, and platforms.
Yes, I
So,
love.
so as you're looking at these things that you've already created and looking at them naturally, they are shortcuts. When you combine them with other items that are in collaboration, you begin to create programs. And when you combine all those programs together, you create a platform. So if you're
Mhm.
looking inside of your own business and you're just frustrated with running on the hamster wheel and creating the conventional outcome, just like the guy across the street who's in a similar industry, I'd encourage you just to take a step back and leverage your natural curiosity and look at things as they actually exist, not as they're currently being utilized. When you begin to do that, pursue why. Why can or why does or what if this were to combine with something else? And
Mm.
if so, what kind of value would that create? And I'd encourage you to take one additional step. Look around you to the left and to the right. These are your vendors, your suppliers, your clients, your team members, and also your competitors. Because
Ooh.
it's quite possible if you resolved one of the biggest frictions or obstacles in your own business, you potentially could turn around and share it or sell it to everyone else who's in your industry. So following the remove the film methodology and applying just to add a zero thinking puts you in a whole nother level. It's not doing it the same way as the guy down the street. I've
Yeah.
never been classified as a Me Too, and
Mm.
I promise I never will be.
I got to read the back cover copy because it really actually fires me up in a good way. Um, so here's what you say. What if you could add a zero? If you had the ability to add a zero in any area of your life, where would you place it? Time, family, money, health. Ooh, that's interesting. The truth is you're much closer to that reality than any other time in history. The world has changed. Competition used to define the marketplace, separating
Mm-hmm.
winners from losers in a cutthroat game of money making. Businesses sacrificed everything to achieve the coveted number one spot, no matter the price. They spent time and energy uh, chasing industry domination.
Mm-hmm.
So you believe in a better way, and this is the formula. And here's what you basically say: remove the film so you can identify the friction. Ooh, talk to me about that because you've said that to me a lot of times. Wherever
Yeah,
there's friction,
yeah. So
yeah,
in most businesses, at least the ones that I engage with on a very consistent basis in all different industries, there's something inside of their organization that they're running from, they're ignoring, or they built around. Looking at that particular thing under the methodology of remove the film, that
okay.
is possibly the opportunity that exists inside of your business to create the number one spot. I wouldn't
Mm,
argue that trying to get to the number one spot is, I'd never really try to do that in industries that I am in. I absolutely try to find the friction inside of the industry, look at it in a little different light and embrace it and harness it
yeah,
and create your own number one spot.
that's so good.
Hmm?
You Seed Spark is what? It's almost like a collection of companies. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so SeedSpark is the engine and the thinking. the approach, the methodologies that I share here in the book are the foundational element that drive all of the companies that SeedSpark is the engine behind. So we
Mm,
do that both in companies that we own, so quite a few that we've started and grown, as well as SeedSpark itself. So as we march to the beginning of the year, SeedSpark is launching the Growth Academy,
yes.
also the opportunity to obtain growth consulting, so one-on-one, and then partnerships. So growth collaboration partnerships where you partner on the future. We all are very familiar with the normal M&A route, a private equity route. You're going to see them double in 5 years. You're potentially going to be out in 2. You might make it 3. Part of your clients are going to go and part of your staff is going to go. We're kind of the alternative to that, saying, hey, let's look at this thing a little bit differently. Why don't you
Mm,
keep all 100% of your equity? And whatever you're valued at today, keep that too. We'll
wow.
partner on the growth of the organization. You retain 75, we'll take 25. And let's do it together. Let's let you win for all the blood, sweat, and tears, heartache, and late nights and early mornings, and all that big, heavy yoke that you've been carrying for years. Let's not give it up for a small check. Let's go after the big check together.
So that's pretty generous, by the way. So it's almost like powered by SeedSpark. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
Yeah, our organizations and then third party organizations, we're now starting to offer these capabilities and services to. They'll be powered by SeedSpark. Yeah.
I remember when we were in the Uber in Chicago 3 weeks ago, you shared this amazing concept that I had never thought of before. That when two collaborations come together,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have a third party taking care of the admin
Yes.
and explain the admin because one of the parties absorbs it and then it creates what? Talk to us about that.
So it becomes not equalized. So if you think about in a collaboration, and you've seen many in the past, right? And even there's just so many examples of even Tiffany's and Nike currently.
Yes.
Someone, now they both distribute their products. So that's a little bit unique in that they have platforms, they come together. They're both going to market it, they're both going to account for it, and they're both going to distribute it. Oftentimes, when there are two natural collaborations that come together, is two skill sets. They're your unique ability that they exist inside their organization or themselves if you're doing this individually. When you come together with others, someone has to message it, someone's got to send the invoice, someone's got to count for it. And if those administrative and management capabilities are absorbed by one or the other, it becomes out of balance. And you have to be a little careful of that because that can actually premature make a collaboration fall apart in the future. Knowing that, and as you mentioned, I've done a couple of collaborations along the way. I find it to be a very exponential way to grow without as much effort as the convention. I recognized that a long, long time ago. So now, because I've become quite experienced in identifying these, we are exploring collaboration as a service so that as two very highly qualified in their unique ability organizations or people come together to create something of immense value, we don't get caught up in the minutia of the normal who's going to market it, message it, expense it, and produce the website. All of those core capabilities that you have to stand up a business, we're now offering as collaboration as a service.
It's another example of you just having the
Friction.
zero, connecting the dots. And yeah, I love this whole model. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the back there, the top 25. What is that about,
Oh,
man?
yes.
That looks pretty
Um,
pretty cool. And
so,
yeah.
yeah, one of the organizations that SeedSpark powers is a managed service and cybersecurity firm, as well as an application development firm. So, in the technology space, this particular one, they were number 14 top fastest growing organizations. They've made it to also number 7 on the Inc. 500 and
Wow.
many times on the Inc. 5000. So it's meet your clients where you are, wake up every day and figure out how to create more value and look at the resources that you have and naturally look at their natural being and understand how you can recombine them for for quite a bit of additional value. And it'll happen. You'll do the same.
I love everything you're saying. By the way, your cover is some of my favorite colors, um,
Hmm.
but there's a message here that I want people to see, and you almost have to look closely. But it's surrounded by zeros,
Hmm.
surrounded by zeros, and then it has that film that
Hmm.
is often on cars or products. What's the psychology? And then you got the zero popping through there, which is really cool. What's the
Yeah.
psychology of all this?
Yeah. So chase the friction, but
Mm,
inside of your business, you would have to remove the film to embrace that thing that's giving you the most angst, the most friction inside of your business. And some of these things have been around since the time you started. Earlier I mentioned, look for them and embrace them. When you begin to do so, you empower yourself to remove that film, find that friction, and begin adding zeros.
love it, love it. So this book, congrats by the way on launch day. This is pretty
Thank you.
cool. I know that this book's been in you for how long do you think this book has been in you?
um, One could argue that it started when I was 8, because and straight up out of fear and natural curiosity, I began to develop these methodologies that I've applied to over 40, well, 45 different businesses and industries today that I've started or either acquired or bought and exited. So it's been coming for a very long time. It's a little tough. I thought everyone thought a similar way. It
Yeah,
turns out not exactly true. So I'm excited to be able to put this in a package that can empower other entrepreneurs to just look at things a little bit differently and create a much bigger outcome for themselves. And if you want some help, you can always ease over to seedspark.com and those guys will be happy to have a conversation.
absolutely. I mean, I just think about my own life. Just adding a zero. I mean, like you said, you can do the math. Whether it's influence, impact, income, health, relationships.
Mhm.
I just took away a zero on my cholesterol. So,
Lovely.
I mean, like you said, you can put a zero at the front or the back. Um,
Mhm.
what do you hope, Chad? I know you're kind of a world traveler. You got 45 different collaborations going. You got the new book coming out.
Mhm.
What does life look like for you in 6 or 12 months? What do you think?
Mm. I am hoping to be able to empower entrepreneurs that are doing it conventionally to start today with things that are real world and can make a practical impact to what they do tomorrow. So over the next year, I'm hoping to at least empower 100 to 150 through the Seed Spark Growth Academy, and then no telling where we go from there. We have some other very high aspirational goals.
Yeah,
Obviously, we operate on those same methodologies, so we're
yeah.
constantly adding a zero. In some place, we're removing a zero to make ourselves think about the potential embracing of the obstacle a little bit differently. But over the next 12 months, we expect we can have that type of impact, and then we'll see how many zeros we can add after that.
There's certain people that you sit down and have chats with. You're one of the few. And when I sit down with you and say, this is the truth. My head grows, but my heart grows. And
Hmm.
what I mean by that is you're the type of guy that I sit down with and I think bigger, but you also have this great balance where the heart grows too. And
Hmm.
I think that's rare. I don't think there's a ton of business minded people that you have both. You have a big heart. I've met your team. I know your background, your faith. Um, I'm just impressed, man. I'm really impressed.
Mm.
And as we kind of land the plane here over the next 5 minutes, I want people not just to get the book, Kindle, audio, hardcover, softcover, folks, all the versions. But let's also look at how do I know the academy's right for me? If I come to Seed Spark and I'm like, wow, I'm getting Chad, I'm feeling the vision, I'm thinking bigger. How do I know if the academy's right for me versus partner versus consulting? Go through that one more time.
Yeah, no problem. If you read the book and you would like more to understand the methodologies and to learn how to apply them, then
Mm,
the academy is like right down the fairway for you. Of course, we're going to train on these methodologies, but many more. You mentioned the travel that I do. All driven by natural curiosity. There are so many like absolutely experts in their field. So what I do when I spend time traveling is I try to curate the best of breed and learn from them. Now, I grew up on a farm. I am quite stubborn. You can just ask my wife, and I'm going to have to do it my own way.
Mhm.
But what I try to do is take all of those learnings and put them in packages that give real world examples and give you practicality of implementation of these core concepts.
Mm.
So the Growth Academy is constantly evolving, both on my methodologies I've seen be tried and true, and other
Yes.
things I'm learning out in the marketplace. For the
Oh, that's good.
partners,
That's good. Yeah.
if we learn the methodologies and we're having just a little trouble implementing inside your organization, we always have the consulting piece.
Mm.
So you're able to leverage consulting, which is
Yeah.
we'll walk along with you and also empower you that way, but more of a one-on-one nature. And then if you're ready to really make it lights out, you've got a very good understanding of the core competencies and you're already applying them, but you're ready to basically change an industry or create one yourselves, then growth collaboration partners might be an opportunity where we partner on the future. If you're
Makes
ready to do it differently and create a much bigger outcome, that's an excellent option. But the
and
main thing is meet you where you are.
and partners is not just, "Hey, we're taking everybody." This is apply. Like, you gotta be a
Hmm.
right fit.
That's correct. Yeah, right fit for both of us. And
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
you always keep all your own equity. It's if for any reason it doesn't work out, no hard feelings. We in all the years that I've been doing it, I've not run across one that I've had any trouble with because when you approach it
Mm.
naturally and you're here for just growth, um, everybody wins, which is a prereq requirement. Yeah.
It's so good. So, folks, Just Add a Zero is the book. Remove the film, outperform your competition, and grow exponentially through collaboration. Man, I
Mm-hmm.
love that so much. Chad, this has been truly amazing. I'm so glad we met in Strategic
Mm-hmm.
Coach, and you've made me think bigger. My team has fully enjoyed working with you. Everything about Chad and his company, folks, you can tell a lot. You can tell a lot how they treat people, how they respond, how their core values. And I just, as I've taken a deeper look at everything you're doing, I'm really impressed. So
Mm.
thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. We always strive to create more value today than we did yesterday, and we're working on tomorrow.
That's
Better
so
is
good.
infinite.
That's
Mm-hmm.
so good. Seedspark.com, go there and then
Mm-hmm.
pick up the book. And again, you got all the versions out there. Chad,
Mm-hmm.
thanks for being here today.
It's